Hello, hello, hello. TV review. My goodness, I watch TV. I watch a lot of TV. Don't like to talk about it though. But hey, seeing as got nothing better to do with my time, I thought I'd do a TV review. Yeah, I watched The Patient, which is well, what would you call it? Psychological thriller. Yeah, that seems right. Created by Joel Fields and Joe Weisberg. It's dropped on, well, God, there's loads. Is it Hulu, FX, Disney Plus? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And again, we've just got it. I think we just got it in the UK. I think it had already been shown in the US. Again, this is the thing when you talk about television. It's all a bit complicated, isn't it? So we get it later than everyone else. But it stars Steve Carell, that guy from that show. You know, that's what she said. And Domhall Gleeson. I've got a picture of them. There they are. Makes me look like I'm professional when I insert pictures. And it's a very interesting concept. What's the concept? The concept is Steve Carell plays a psychotherapist who has a patient who then kidnaps him. And the patient, who's played by Donald Gleeson, turns out to be a serial killer. Though I'm not sure we know how many people he's actually killed. It's a bit vague. It's a bit vague, but it's 10 episodes, and they're, again, without adverts, are about 21 minutes, 20 minutes long, so it'd be half an hour if it was on proper telly with adverts in and whatnot. And again, it was on. I watched it last night. I guess I binged it because it was short, and like I said, it's not like I was taking a dog for a walk or anything, so I just kind of binged it. And yeah, I mean, it was an interesting idea. And again, it's a story of fathers and sons. I mean, all the great stories are stories of fathers and sons, aren't they? I'm looking at you, Star Wars, things like that. It's always fathers and sons. You can boil down almost every story to that dynamic, and that's what this is. That's what this is really. Yeah, it's about a serial killer who's holding his therapist hostage, but it's really about fathers and sons, and that's what I thought was the interesting part of it, because again, the way the story is told, some of it is told in flashback and in memory, because again, as Carell's character Alan Strauss is being held, he often goes to his little imagination zone where he talks to his own dead therapist and recounts memories of things that have happened. Again, do I want to spoil it? Do I want to get into spoiler territory? No, I'm going to avoid spoilers. I think I can talk about this without spoiling it. But yeah, so there's a lot of flashback. There's a lot of memory in this, and sometimes it's not always presented as a memory. It just cuts to things, and you sometimes have to go, wait a minute, is this a memory? Yes, this is a memory. So you do have to kind of be on your toes with that. So that's interesting. That conceit isn't used with the Sam Faulkner, Donald Gleeson character, the serial killer. You don't get any real flashbacks of him. Again, of the two characters, and this is my criticism of it, the psychotherapist is much better drawn. The serial killer is almost a cartoon. He's almost a parody. There's no real depth to who or what he is. And again, I don't think this is a critique of Gleeson's acting. I think he's a fine actor, but I don't think he was necessarily given a lot to work with. He kind of plays him in that kind of dead-eyed, missing part of his character. Again, I'm going to go there. He's almost playing it like the guys on the spectrum, and that's really kind of dull, because we know that a lot of serial killers actually have personalities and are quite charming. This guy's charmless. He's the and again, this is why there's this big imbalance. You naturally, side with the psychotherapist, obviously, because he's being held hostage. But I think it'd have been a much more interesting prospect if you'd have seen what really formed him. What caused him to, what sowed the seeds of his psychopathy. it's touched upon. It's touched upon. There are plot elements in it where this is why this is happening. But that part of the story left, I was sort of quite unsatisfied with it. And there are, of course, also there are certain story elements that appear. Again, no spoilers. And I sat there going, would that really happen? Would that really be a thing? Certain characters don't always act like they should act. So, but I was watching Carell's performance. Again, this is a person who's grieving. He's grieving many things. Loss of relationships, loss of people. Again, no spoilers here. I'm tiptoeing away. I'm tiptoeing through the plot line here. And he plays it really well. And you have a great sympathy for him. And you see him adopting the Stockholm syndrome thing where he sympathises with his patient in order to survive. And he witnesses things that he shouldn't witness, and it is a hard watch in places. But I think Carell's performance is he is a really good actor. He's a solid actor. And you have utter sympathy and utter interest in his story. And that's why it feels, like I say, very unbalanced in favour of him. Also, Gleeson's character spends a lot of the time out of frame, because he leaves. He goes to, he goes and, has his life separate from his hostage. So, maybe if we'd have seen a bit more of that life, again, a bit more flashback, a bit more, if there was a balance there. But that's done for a reason, as the show plays out, you understand why this is. But it's also its weakness, So its other weakness is it is 10 episodes long. This would have been a fantastic 90-minute movie. Maybe to 2 hours if you want to push it. But everybody wants to do these multi-part series. And I don't think there was necessarily enough... I don't think there was enough material there to sustain 10 episodes. But then, saying that, I sat and watched them all. But... I think it was more a comment on me than the show, and that's always going to be my criticism. I think people are obsessed with this multi episode format now, and the idea of editing for pace and for tension. Again, I think it'd been more tense if it would have had a shorter runtime. And there is an awful lot of extra in here that, with judicious pruning, would have got it down. There's a really tight 90-minute movie in here, and again, because it's shot, everything now has the high production value. Everything looks like a movie. It doesn't necessarily feel like a TV show. It feels like a movie that's been stretched out to 10 episodes. So yeah, I would like to see a 90-minute edit of this, because I think it'd be really tight and really claustrophobic. Again, you don't necessarily get the sense of claustrophobia that the main character feels. I think it's a few episodes in before he even has a piss, I think. Not that that's what I was looking out for, but it's an indicator that, his life is going on, sort of thing. But yeah, if you're in the mood to binge watch something, and it is a really good study of fathers and sons. Again, there's a section of this midway through that is almost like a switcheroo moment. Again, no spoilers, and it's really good. And the actor who plays his son, Andrew Leeds, who plays his son Ezra. Again, you think he's inconsequential, but there's, like I said, there's this good bit later on in the show where you see his life for a moment. And it puts the story into another context, and I like that. It's the storytelling that, again, that's what this is more about. This is more about, I guess, that slow burn storytelling, but it gives away a lot of its tension by doing that, because you've got this, But I enjoyed it. I came away, and it made me want to make a video about it. I enjoyed it. It's not perfect, but it's worth watching just for Carell's performance, and Gleeson too. But I think if he'd have been a bit more I know, charismatic, and we understood why he was the way he was. You know, he played him more like the Dharma, you know, dullard, psycho killer, and they're not interesting. You know, you want the Bundys, you know, who have that sizzle. If they'd have made him, you know, like I said, interesting that way, I think it would have been a more balanced and fascinating. Because then you'd be working out both sides of the equation. Here, you tend to just fixate and work out what's happening with the Alan Strauss character. But yeah, give it a go if you've got I don't know how many hours it is, three and a bit hours, 3.5 hours. Yeah, call it that. I'm not going to try and add it all up because I think the last episode's 45 minutes because it's an extra long one for the ending. Yeah, and it's a limited series, so that means it's very special. So give it a look. It's called The Patient, starring Steve Carell and Domhall Gleeson, among others. Again, it's a very small cast, and again, the way it's made, it's got a feeling it may have been like a drop off of the COVID productions, because no one's really close. There's no people. There's always a distance because of, you know, he's holding him hostage and everything. There's always distance between people, so that makes it an interesting prospect. If it was, you know, a COVID production, I do not know, but yeah, give it a go if you're in the mood for that kind of thing. That's it. That's the review. God, blimey. Oh, we want progressive rock reviews. Oh, sorry, you got TV review. These things happen. Thank you for watching. My name's been Darren Locke. I've been talking about The Patient, starring Steve Carell and Domhnall Gleeson, and it's on Disney Plus in the UK and FX and Hulu, and I don't know. They're all these things. I don't know what they are now. Check it out. That's it. Ta-da.